Let's start. First of all, any questions before? What I was going to do was go through the new schedule, which you haven't have yet, but we can go through it. This is nothing that's unusual. So, but if you have many questions, can you ask me now so I can keep that in mind to answer that as we go? Okay, I get it. There isn't. Uh, well, I have this idea. As you all know, Tai Chi for arthritis started with one person, and we reach millions around the world. So, but if you look at the internet and the first lesson of Tai Chi for arthritis, I haven't checked it, but it will be less than 1 million viewers. But Tai Chi for beginners has 9 million viewers. So why are we not out there? So I'm hoping that I always try Tai Chi for beginners. It's going to take over, set up a strong, like even more than Tai Chi for arthritis, because there's some people, even right now, 20 years later, there's still people who ask, Dr. Lam, I don't have arthritis. Can I learn Tai Chi for arthritis? That's ridiculous. But we say it everywhere. Anyone can do it. So Tai Chi for beginner is just somewhere, and there are a lot of other people who make Tai Chi for beginners who have attract millions of hits. But the ones I have looked at really don't have a teaching system like we have, don't have a curriculum. They really, there are people who's intuitively good teacher, but a lot of these teachers are just using traditional method or whatever method they can. And as you have run into other Tai Chi teachers, I think you can see the clear difference of having a system like ours that is so much more user-friendly. And when you can engage the participants, and when they are user-friendly, it makes the journey so much more enjoyable and therefore more likely to spread it out. So I'm just so encouraged that we have a reasonable amount of people who registered as participants, and I certainly hope you guys will take over and run it to spread it out more. Because with the stage one, I probably won't do it, but I would be happy to run a workshop training for 3 people. And the world is so big. And it's much more accessible in that sense. It's already there, and we can share the system, even to people who doesn't want to come to our training. When they go to stage one, it will make them a better teacher. It will make Tai Chi more accessible and more tasty and better to people. So I'm hoping that, yeah, Tai Chi for beginners would be another stone after Tai Chi for arthritis. Not even stretch more. Especially, I was so confident about the June workshop. Things were coming back to normal. And then we have a new variant, a new virus. And I was reading some medical reports that the specialists were saying, generally speaking, a new variants tend to spread quicker, they're more contagious. But also the medical logic is that they tend to be not as vicious, because if they kill the host, then they don't spread out. So it makes sense like the Delta variants. It went very quickly, but it's not more vicious than the original one. And that's what we're hoping. But whatever it is, life is never going to be the same. You know, coronavirus is just one new virus. Who is to know there are not other new things going to develop in the horizon? And it's like challenges in life. The way for everybody is to build our inner strength mentally and physically. And that the mental strength and the physical strength also directly correlate to immunity. You know, when people are more relaxed, more comfortable with themselves, their immunity gets better. And when they're healthier, their heart rate's better, their immunity gets. So immunity is very closely related to our health, essentially. Of course, specifically, Tai Chi is really good for immunity. So I think we have a big place to play, especially to the people who keep saying that they're not old enough, they're not sick enough, they don't have a medical condition. Here's Tai Chi for beginner. And when I started Tai Chi for arthritis, just me, but now I have many of you colleagues that will be spread it out together. And I'm really hopeful that you do that. So I'm really excited in times of, I went to a dance last night in the Opera House, and it was very moving. You know, the dancers, like the musicians, I kind of understand the professional artists like my daughter. They are trained and live to perform, to share. And like us, we love to share. And they were just dying to perform. And we love, the audience was electric, that we love to see them too. And I think that's us, that's human, you know. We are animal of communication, community. And Tai Chi just bring all the elements. It helps us to communicate. It also strengthens our inner strength, so we can back to the human contact. And yeah, so I think in crisis like this, it tell us how useful our tool is, tell us how much we can contribute. I hope you all as excited as me that we can do something for the world. And let me just go back to life. Sorry, I'm looking funny because I don't have my normal setup. I'm going to share screen with you. Okay, here's the version 3. Essentially, it's very similar. I just make the purpose more clear. Essentially, the purpose is to connect. We need to have that personal touch, that connection. And then, of course, we need to see that they are good enough to teach effectively. And we really need to help them along the way to be their resource person. So these are the purpose of stage 2. It's not different from really our 2-day workshop. The thing about stage 1 is it makes our system much more accessible, and it's there for them for half a year, so they can always go back and get better. But at the very bottom, at the very core, they need to connect with us. They need to connect to a master trainer, a senior trainer, so that we can continue to help them. And by helping them, we develop our ability to communicate, to share, and we learn a lot by having our participants. So that is the purpose, and I'm really encouraged. There are so many of you here, and I'm just looking forward to see how we can spread it out and reach more people. So if we can come, say 15 minutes earlier, then we can just have a little chat, and then 10 minutes before we can have sort of get warm up with the participants. And then the workshop team usually come here half an hour ahead to get things set up. So just to let you know, stop me anytime. But if you want to say something, make sure you unmute yourself. Once you allocate a group, we will allocate a group randomly. You will have that group throughout the whole workshop, the whole day. So that way you get to know them. So we started with, I'm going to introduce you. Actually, I think Ernie did a good job last time. Maybe you should, Ernie, if it's okay with Ernie, to announce and introduce everybody. And then Evan will be here. So when you're introduced, Evan would spotlight you. And so everybody can see you.
I have a question, Paul.
Yeah, go ahead.
Back on the groups, when we get our small groups, can we get a list of names of the people who are going to be in our groups beforehand? Really helps whenever we're keeping track of everybody.
Sure.
I don't know how they're going to be assigned, whether they do it by spreadsheet or what, but it would be nice if we could get it most of the names anyway. I know this change. This is it changes. So there's fluctuation there, but that'd be as good as we can get. That would be great.
Okay, Bill. My guess is, unless they did it differently, my guess is most likely Zoom does the assignment. So we just say we want the X number of group and Zoom, they're all randomly assigned. And then when you go to the group, when I say go to breakup group, you go to your group, the list of names are there. And I imagine you have about 6 people. Ernie, what do you think? 5? 4 or 5 people each. So you should see the list.
Yeah, that'll be fine. Yeah, I know how that works. That's okay.
Okay, but if this is going to be recorded, I will ask if Ernie or Evan can give you a list first. Yeah, we can work on that. Okay, so with the introduction,
even a list of the participants would help. That way we would at least have names.
You mean every participant, or?
If that's the best we can get, because when we get started, it's really hard to write down the names and listen to what the people are saying about their introductions. That's why I like to have the names beforehand, before, at least the biggest cheat that we can get to help us from having to sit there and write names down while they're introducing themselves. That's not professional. I'm probably not making any sense, but that's okay. I think I am to some.
Well, if we had the full list, we could have a highlighter handy and
it would be very easy after the first time then to make our own list of the people that we could use for the checklist.
Well, anyway, we can certainly send you a whole list of participants.
Yeah, just a thought.
The database, that's easy to do. Is that okay, Ernie? Can you do that? Oh, can you unmute yourself, Ernie?
I turned this off because my clock is right behind me. Chimes. I maintain a list alphabetical by first name and update it daily as people come and go. So I've not passed that on to anyone as of right now, but I will be doing that in the next few hours. So I'll be glad to share that with Dr. Lamb's permission.
And Pat. Yeah, sure.
That's what we need. That'd be great.
What I was thinking is, once I assume Ernie and Evan will get together and the breakup group. Perhaps what you want is when we have the breakup group, then we send you your group as well. So you will have less names to remember. When you have a whole group list, it doesn't, and then you know you have that group. Set better? Like we will know, let's say Bill, you have 5 people, then we're saying build the list of your group as well, once they are located.
Yeah, that would be great. That'd be great, Paul.
Okay, okay, sure. That's interesting. In the assessment form, I did revise it, but it essentially is the same, but just to make less words. So I'll send you all that after this, the new assessment form. Can I go back to, sorry, and just go back to share screen now? Okay. Now my question is, when Ernie introduced you, probably you want to say a few words. That would be nice. I think that's what we did last time. So if you can just a very quick introduction of yourself, and then and then after that, I would talk, do an introduction, and then I will do the first 4 steps. So assuming you've done stage 1, if you haven't, you can still go through them now. So it's really helpful to remember which steps are what. The step 1 to 3 is a warm-up cooling down system. Step 4 is the 4 Qigong exercise. And I would be curious to know, did you notice that I did infuse the Zoom style Qigong into the Qigong for beginning. And so that's what we're doing in the breakout room. Well, it's good to have participants introduce themselves, get to know your group, and just like the way you run the workshop. And then you lead first. I don't know if you need to do that. It probably, actually, why is this? This doesn't look right. My latest one have the time. You're supposed at about 30 minutes, 25 minutes. Actually, my last version, let me see if I got my last version. There's something missing somewhere. Yeah, actually, that is not the last version. Beginner script. Sorry. That should be this one. Oh yeah, sorry. This is the one. So you can see that's more simple. So I got the version wrong, but this is the right revised version. So you can see there's a time, 30 minutes. And I be more specific, actually, if you can have a look at that. And then you start with step 2 because, yeah, you don't need to walk around step 1. And then if you get someone to do step 2 and next person to step 3, and then next person to step 4, and then rotate again. And in that way, you get an idea if they have done this stage 1 or not. Yeah, okay. So this is more like, this is the final version. I'll send you the right version. And so that will be the first hour. The first hour is probably might run a little bit behind. When you come back, let's keep the same order. The order Ernie introduced you, you follow the same order. So when you come back, have a quick report, especially something that's of interest to everybody in that order, so we don't have sort of wait to see whose turn it is. In the second hour, it's a discussion. Remember our 5 topics. The first topic, it's the same system with all our Tai Chi for Health system. What is Tai Chi? What's the feature? And how does Tai Chi for beginners work? And here you notice I be more specific to the first part. We talk about it and trying to listen to get idea of which participant are okay, and yeah, and write down some notes. And then the discussion group would be like our normal thing. You have a speaker. You're just the fly on the wall. You watch and listen, and by listening, you will know where they are. And of course, if they get distracted, then you want to bring them back. And if they need some help, of course, you're there to help them. Stop me anytime I lost you. So that is the second hour. Then we have 10 minutes off, and then next third hour is we practice, we do the lot, and then in the break room you have 30 to 40 minutes. Again, continue to practice, lead, and then take turns to do step 1, 2, 3. You don't always start with the first person. I mean, you randomly pick people so you get an idea where they are. Trying to be encouraging. If people look like they have no clue, well, don't be critical. Just smile and say, they're here. So they might not be ready, but you can tell them privately. And some people get very nervous. They may be okay, So just be very kind, like I know you are. Just like you run your own workshop, really. And then we come back to talk. And then at 3:30, we have half an hour break for lunch or dinner or supper. And then when we come back, it's we are doing teaching safely, which is the same. You still break the group into your group to work out 3 most important ways to teach safely. And just by listening, I mean, they don't have to have the same 3 as we believe, but you get an idea whether they know what they're talking about, they make sense or not. Then the next, they come back after, and of course, we change the time as things go. Feel free to let me know anything we need change. And then we do practice and to see how they are. Then after afternoon tea and at 5:40, we'll come back for the last hour is teaching effectively. Now, I don't mind telling you that when I feel myself doing teaching the first part of Part and White Horse's name, to follow all the points just takes a bit of sort of getting used to. So if your participants don't do it quite right, it's okay, fine. But if they get you get the feeling they understand, split it up to small parts, teach one thing at a time, repeat 3 times, then they're okay. And you can always give things and suggestions, but realize it's never easy. I think, yeah, probably a good idea for you to have a go and copy what I did when I demonstrate how to do it. And then you know we all do it slightly different. As long as they understand the reason behind doing the right method, right structure, that would be good enough.
I have a question, Bob.
Yeah, go ahead. Let me just stop.
Okay,
the
for our
sharing.
small groups, we're going to be in small groups to do the teaching effectively exercise. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, we have about 35 to 40 participants, and we
Right.
have, there's 9 of you, 9 facilitators. So you probably get about 3 or 4, am I right? 4?
3 or
Yeah.
4, yeah, 5. Think about, here's the deal. If we're in a small group, we cannot do breakout rooms from there. So everyone has to stay in one large group unless Zoom has changed recently.
I don't understand.
Darcy?
Yeah, if you had 5, you could just have more students, have 1 observer and rotate still.
Yeah, you can't break into groups of 3.
Why not?
Not in a Zoom situation. So everybody
Really?
just keep that in mind. Oh yeah, we had that big problems trying to do that in Tai Chi for arthritis. Long time ago. If you put all of us in an individual small room, breakout room, then you cannot have a sub breakout room under that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You don't need a sub breakout room because
I know with this
you only
situation,
have
if we've
3 to
only got, but it's like Darcy says, if we have 5, we just have more participants, but everybody gets a chance to do the same role. I understand. I just want to make everybody aware of that because one time this caused a tremendous amount of confusion in our training for stage 1, stage 2. I believe it was in Tai Chi for arthritis. It wasn't in diabetes, I don't think. Oh yeah, there was a lot of problems with that in the beginning. So a lot of ad libbing. We did good.
Annie, do you remember? Was it?
The very first one was in the spring, and that was
Yeah.
Tai Chi for arthritis, a very, very large group, very large group. And I think everybody was just getting their feet wet. I mean, participants as well as all of us and facilitators, MTs, everyone. And so it was not quite as efficient as it could have been. Definitely improved by the time we got to September for diabetes, but we only had 21 people, only 21 people. So each time it becomes better, but this time it's going to be more than we had in September. So we need to, all of us decide now how you want to do it. Darcy had a great idea and Bill's,
I think Darcy's idea is good.
yeah, and Bill's enforcing that as long as Dr. Lamb agrees.
Well, actually,
yes, I can.
I think
sorry.
the confusion with the first stage 2 was Becky trying to arrange the groups, and then it wouldn't follow when it actually happened. That's where the confusion comes from.
Yeah,
I don't think there was a problem breaking into breakout rooms. The problem, it was the problem into breakout
Okay.
room, but because we couldn't fix the number. But I think we are much better in dividing it.
Well,
And yeah.
your numbers are better this time. We can make this work. In the Tai Chi for arthritis, we wound up with about 7 or 8 people in our breakout rooms. And that was almost, and we were expected to break into small groups, and it couldn't happen. So with this small number, Darcy's got a great idea. I think that's what we do.
Darcy,
Richard,
Hey,
you
so-
have a comment?
you want to repeat that idea?
Oh, if we have 5 students, you just have or participants, you have the instructor role player, and you just have 3 participant students and then 1 observer. Does that make sense? You just rotate with a bigger classroom, so to speak.
At the end, I think, right, so let's say you have 5, 1 instructor, 1 observer, and 3 participants. That's what Darcy saying. And then the next turn, you have the same thing. But the last turn, so the last round, you have the two instructors. So 3 people. No, we've got to have at least 4 goals then. Right. Okay, 4 is easier. If you have 4, okay, let me just, sorry, Blue, we can't hear you. Someone's got a background noise. Can you mute yourself? Okay, if we have 4, let me just go through 4 and 5. We have 4, 1 instructor, 2 participants, 1 observer. And then the last turn, number 3 rotation, the 2 person who haven't taught would have paired to the 2 other guys. And the observer would be also the student. So that's if you have 4. You have 5 people, you need to split that up earlier. 5 people. What about if you have 5 people, you become a participant, or then you can have subgroups. Actually, you're not going to have 5, I don't think. Okay, go ahead.
There we go. This happens to us sometimes in workshops, and I know we have to watch the time really carefully, but I would suggest all it takes is more rounds. I tell my people we'll just have more rounds, and you have to be a student more than once. So we could even do 3 minutes instead of 4 minutes if it looks like we're all going to have 5, but still just do the rounds, because I think it gets too confusing trying to split people up differently or whatever. We just do it. There still has to be 5 rounds so that all 5 people get a turn to teach. And you're a student more than once, that's all. And if we see that we're coming in with 5, now if Beverly can join us, this will all change and we'll only have 3 each. So a lot's going to depend if more people drop in or out, or if Beverly can come, or whatever. But then we just do fewer minutes, maybe 3 minutes of teaching instead of 4, and
Hey,
more rounds.
folks, you're making this way, way too complicated. Put us in the small groups and we will deal with it, okay? Just leave it alone, move on. We got this. This is not our first rodeo.
Right. And I have another question. did you say, Paul, that you're going to demonstrate part horse's mane, or is that the move you'd like us to assign them, or both? Or like, we should probably all assign the same movement.
In stage one, I demonstrate how to teach it. It's in
So
the
is
stage
that-
one.
So would you like them to do the same one or something different?
Exactly the same. They can come
Okay.
close to what I do.
Okay,
So if you haven't seen me demonstrate that, please go to stage one and watch that. I have 3 takes, or maybe even more. So it wasn't that simple. So I'd like you to be very open-minded. They don't have to be exactly like me, but they need to follow the logic.
right.
But then if you don't look at it, you haven't seen it, and then it's very hard for you to judge. Because I want them to do the same movement, preferably close to what I did. And I did explain as so. I explain first, and then I demonstrate exactly what I want them to do.
Right. So Mike, yeah, I was wondering about what the move should be. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's good that you mentioned. So you can tell them. I will probably tell them too that I would like you to demonstrate teaching exactly the way I did it, exactly the same movement, the way I did it on stage one. So that sounds like I want people to be a copycat, but I just feel once they done it and remember, they get the logic behind it. You know, if you don't actually do it, I just found people lost, you know, people think it's so simple, but it is simple. Just, yeah.
Yeah, I do think they all find out it's not as, we all did, myself too. We all found out the first time it's not as simple as it looks. But so as they don't panic, we could maybe word it using the way you did it as a model. We'd like them to come as close to it in concept as they can, or something like that, just so they don't panic about having not memorized it. They probably won't be prepared to memorize.
In stage one, I actually asked them to copy me and look at themselves and video themselves and look at it and compare the differences. So if they go to stage one, this would not be a threatening thing. But by all means, yeah. I try to anticipate everything they can I guess the thing that is always difficult is for people actually to follow your instructions. Okay, I go back to share screen. We're nearly done, I think. So in each phase, I do have the time. And the last hour is pretty much open. There isn't just a chat and answer questions and get you to talk to your participants. Nothing really need to be recorded. It's like a revision, like a communication gap to catch up with everybody. And then the last 15 minutes, we have summary and feedbacks, questionnaires, and also how the certificate will take a group photo, that kind of thing. So I think it's good to have one last hour, sort of not necessarily fix on things, just like a chat and get together to see if anything else we need to catch up with. Okay, that's So you will see that when I send you to correct revised version 3, you will see the more quite specific there. And that doesn't mean you have to follow everything. I mean, you all run workshops. So I'd like you to just remember you're running as though you're running your own workshop. Of course, you know, modify as you go, and smile and enjoy yourself. And I will sneak into each group every now and then. All right, please.
Just a suggestion that swinging back to the Part the Wild Horses Main for a second, since that'll happen after the hour break, after the lunch break, right? That's going to be at that part of the agenda. If you announced what was coming up after lunch and briefly just talked about teaching effectively, and we're going to do the stepwise method, and you're all going to get the opportunity to show how you would teach Part the Wild Horses Main. That will give people the opportunity during their lunch break to go and look at it so that they're not embarrassed. If I was in the workshop and you sprang this on me towards the end of the workshop, and I kind of sort of remembered it, lots of people are not doing a lot of detail when they do the videos. They're using their thumb, they're using their finger to fast forward through stuff. So all we're going to do is embarrass them and make it a really tough set of little teachings if it all gets sprung on them, so they could at least prepare. I know I would, if I was on their end, I would appreciate you telling me that before lunch, because then it would give me the 15 minutes to go and look at that and get prepared, and not, I don't want to make a fool of myself, but I didn't think that was going to happen in the workshop, and now I'm embarrassed.
Okay. Actually, I thought I sang I would send a lesson plan to participants as well after this. However, it's simplified, and I'll write that down as well. Okay.
That's good. Yeah, does the same thing. Yeah.
But I will mention it as well. Sure. Okay. I'm writing myself notes. Yeah. Well, thank you all that. Ed?
So I just want to share two different points. One is that the first time I did this program years ago, I came from a really, my whole background before I met you, Paul, was Yang style. So I came from a highly concentrated Yang background. And when I learned this and went to my first workshop, as you might recall with you, I had translated it in my head as Tai Chi for beginners, being a simple way to start teaching Yang. But in my head, I missed I'll be honest, everybody here, I missed the really important points about focusing on the Qigong, the stepping, and one movement in every class, just one movement over and over again in every class, and then only looping them later on. And that's a really, I've discovered in time and practice, that's a really important part of this, and something that is different. That's the unique aspect of this, because often you see Tai Chi for beginners, and I'm not surprised it gets a lot of hits on YouTube, because people think Tai Chi is one thing, one elephant, and that it's all the same no matter which part you touch. So they hit on it, Tai Chi for beginners, and usually it's just slowing down, teaching Yang 24 or teaching part of Yang 24 or Yang 108. This is really a different approach to it. So I just wanted to bring that out because it has helped me a lot more recently going through it again and saying, wow, this will be really great for Zoomers and Zoom classes, as well as because Tai Chi is really getting out there in the mainstream now. It's no longer just people wanting to look like the people we see on TV. You know, now people want to do it for health, and this is a whole different approach. So I just want to emphasize how important that is, to make sure the participants are not thinking that as long as they can run out and start teaching the first 6 moves of 24 with stepwise progressive and they have it, because the whole setup is a little different. The using the pieces. So that's one thing I wanted to say. And then the second part I wanted to share with everyone, and I'm looking around saying, gosh, I'm here with the best teachers anyway. I'm here with all of you really excellent MTs. But Ernie and I got feedback on the workshop line about some of the other instructor training workshops from people who are really unhappy. And we spent time with them, talking to them and trying to be diplomatic with them. But one of the feedbacks was that they expected more pointers and they felt they didn't get it. And they want it. So that's something I sense. Some people really don't want pointers or too much feedback, but just to remember to give that feedback, positive feedback in the breakout rooms. Some people, more than one, I think I talked to 3 people who said this, and I don't know how many Ernie heard from, but some people didn't like that we just said really general things when we came out of breakout rooms and spoke for our groups. Oh, my group was really great. My group was the best. They really have it. And they just, a couple of people said they felt it was a big waste of time, because by the time each of us shared, 10 more minutes, 15 minutes went by. So something very specific is important. If somebody had an idea or offered how I teach this, or an imagery, a visualization they like, or something that would be useful. If I know it's hard to remember while you're there trying to observe and tune into your people, but keep in mind to either keep the feedback really brief, they were great, that's all I can say, and move on. And Linda shared that, and something, she shared that she uses insoles to show where the feet go, or, whatever would be helpful. Also, there were 2 people who felt that their MT in their breakout room wasn't well prepared. So I know I'm going to go back and make sure. I already did one and looked at the whole DVD, but I'm going to do it the night before the day of the workshop too, just to make sure that I'm tuned in, because the two different ladies picked up on it and said that they weren't sure they would ever take another training because they expected a greater depth on the part of the trainer in the breakout room. They thought they were going to have Dr. Lamb the whole time. Then they found out they had a trainer in the breakout room, and then they felt like that particular person wasn't prepared. So people do notice, and it wasn't, I don't know for sure who it was, but I'm sure it wasn't anybody here from what they said. Just a word to all of us that people do notice, and they do, we are setting a standard around the world for how we teach Tai Chi. So.
Thank you, Pat. That is so helpful. Definitely, I think maybe if you focus, okay, we went really well, but Linda suggests that we should do so. That would be something for us to learn. I always find going to participants, I learn something from them, and so something to share that people can get. Otherwise, you can just say, it was great, like Pat was just saying. The other thing that Pat mentioned is, I also find that very helpful about, it took me a long time to create a system. It's like Tai Chi for Health. We do it all the time. We talk about it in a meeting. Sometimes I forget, it is very unique among the traditional teachers, and it is based on researching on how people learn best. So So I will emphasize on that. Thank you for bringing that up to the thing. About preparation, okay, I know you don't have to go through all the stages, but certainly what I suggest you should do is go through my videos. Those videos are pretty short. Like I talk about how to do, how to teach effectively, and then you know the material, but that video I made took a long time. It took me a long time to get the gist of it, to make it easy for people to understand. So I think if you go through that about 15 videos, it really doesn't take long. Then you will be well prepared because you know the material. To be well prepared, just need to know how we teach. And that is essentially my experience of how to run a workshop. Not just Tai Chi for beginner. Certainly it has its flavor of the features of beginner, but essentially the stage one is how I learned from running all these years of workshops. And I really think as a master trainer, you'll find something helpful to go through that video. It's condensed to a very simple video, 5 minutes. So please do that. And then of course, on the teaching demonstration, like it looks like nothing unless you're trying to do it. When you film yourself like I did, I feel myself, I said, well, my smile wasn't right. Do it again. I missed this little bit, do it again. You don't have to be perfect, but at least you get the gist of it if you're trying to sort of just mentally rehearse how you do the steps. And you'll find it's really quite interesting to teach beginners. I learn a lot from teaching beginners. So yeah, I hope that it'd be a fun thing for you all. Pat has such great practical ideas and innovative ideas. Thank you for bringing all that here. I'm just so excited you are managing the workshop. It's wonderful. Thank you. That means we're done. So what you mean you?
Good for me, Paul. Good for me.
Yeah. Well, thanks everybody. Do have fun, it's just a structure. I'll send it to you, but don't get to hang out with that. Just have fun. Thank you. Bye.